Hey everyone, it's Kara, and I was thinking I would just do a video, maybe a little bit more for myself, but maybe you guys will find it helpful or motivating as well. But I wanted to just kind of recap my competitions for this past year. With 2012, pretty much competition season for bodybuilding and all that stuff is pretty much done with, so nothing really starts back up till spring again. So I just kind of wanted to talk through the competitions that I did this past year for 2012. So my first being, I did the Rochester MPC, and I train out of Syracuse, New York. I'm right outside of Syracuse at a gym called Well Rounded. And Rochester was in April. So I started training for this. I mean, I always train, but I kind of started getting more focused on it about January. After the holidays, I started, figuring out my diet a little bit more and starting my training. So that gave me about 3 to 4 months. Can't do the math. Gave me about 3 to 4 months to do my training, focus on leaning out, and looking good and posing for my show. So that was the first one I had done since July of the previous summer. So I trained through Well Rounded with the advice of Jeremy Freeman there. He kind of helped me with my diet. I did a lot of group workouts, focused more on cardio, not as much weight training so much for Rochester. So I did that competition. Actually, I felt really good going into that competition. Pretty sure I was at my lowest body fat. I can't remember how low I was. I've never gotten down in the single digits. I want to say I was probably 16 or so, 16% I think for Rochester. And I had a good team who actually came with me. It was really fun to have that many people there supporting me, my husband, another trainer from Well Rounded, and some of my friends there with me. So that part of it was really nice, and I was really excited. I felt pretty confident for it. I had my spray tan done the morning of. That was something I learned for the future I probably will not do anymore. I'll probably always do it the night before. And I also had my hair done for it too. So everything was kind of a little bit trial and error. And I went out there, and I think my posing was probably the best that I had done out of the 3 shows I did in 2012. I felt really confident on stage. I don't think I really let my nerves show. And I felt really good about that competition. It happened really quick, got backstage, and it just happened really fast. And I ended up placing, I think it was 4th, I guess, for that competition. So I was happy with that in the aspect that if you place top 5, you are qualified for junior national entry-level shows. You have to get top 3 to be able to go to the nationals. So I was happy that I did at least get that qualifying spot, but I definitely did want to do better than 4th place. But overall, I was happy with my posing, how I felt on stage. Looking back at the footage, I wasn't crazy about how, this might seem simple, but I wasn't crazy about how curly my hair was. It was so curly that for how long my hair was, it just kind of sat right on my shoulders, and I wasn't really crazy about that. And I knew I still had some toning up, some improvements I could make. So I decided from there I was going to do a show the following weekend, which was Albany. So with 1 week, you would think, how much can you really change? I was kind of back and forth on whether or not I should do it, but I did decide to go ahead and do Albany. So I just kind of continued with my dieting for the week, and then my husband and I chose to drive up to Albany the morning of and do that competition. So actually I saw really good improvements throughout the week. It was pretty amazing to see how much more my body changed. My legs, I felt leaned out a little bit more, and my waist, which I tend to have a straight waist from what the judges and my trainers tell me. I'm very straight. So my waist actually came in a little bit more, which was nice. And I decided to go with my hair straight for that competition, and I really liked the way I looked for that competition. I felt really good. Didn't feel like I looked too flat or carb depleted or anything, and I felt like I looked great up there. The show itself, though, the lighting was absolutely terrible at that show. And there was also a carpet on the stage, which made it really tough for posing. When I went out to pose my first time, the girl ahead of me, you know, he kind of told her not to take as long posing. And when I got up there, I almost kind of tripped on my shoe when I was doing my turn. And he again made some comment about not taking so long to pose. And instead of just going about it and doing my thing and not worrying about what he was saying, it flustered me in that moment. And I just kind of like stopped, and I stopped smiling, and you could completely see it on my face that I looked like a deer in headlights up there. It was kind of embarrassing. So I just kind of like finished and walked off. And I'm not sure how much that hurt my placing. You never know how much posing's really looked at the local level, but I mean, I think it did factor in. So I was really disappointed in the posing aspect of things. I was really upset. I went back out that night and I felt like I posed better, but I ended up getting 5th. I guess I got 5th at that show out of 10 girls. There was more girls there, and they did all look great. I mean, it was better competition, I thought, at Albany. So either way, though, I got 4th and 5th at the 2 local shows, so that did qualify me. So then I decided to do the IFBB North Americans in Pittsburgh, which was in August. So that gave me plenty of time to take a little time off from like the strict dieting and all the disciplining, and just kind of focus a little bit more on what my goals were going to be, which I knew based on what the judges had told me. They weren't concerned with how lean I got, so I knew I could lean out in plenty of time. I kind of figured out how long it took me to lean out, but they really said that I needed more muscle in my shoulders and just overall more muscle in my legs, more toning in my butt and my glutes. So from there, I decided to try to tweak my training a little bit differently for the North Americans. I did more training on my own than the group training that I was doing, which was a lot more cardio. I actually didn't do as much cardio, and I focused more on heavier weight training. And at the time, I was doing weight training like 3 times a week. Occasionally I would do 4, do a little extra shoulders, but mainly 3 times a week I would really do heavy weights, and I really backed off on my cardio for a long time. And it was interesting to do my training that way because going into Pittsburgh, I actually ended up with the lowest body fat I had had for any of my competitions, and I think I really did bring the best package. And I think that style of training worked better for me. I think what I've learned from this is I know my body well enough at this point that I can lean out in set amount of time if I'm carb cycling and on my diet and doing my training right. So I don't think I need to go as crazy as some people do with leaning out, but definitely gaining the muscle is still a process for me. And figuring out my diet the week of the competition is still something I need to work on a little bit too. I think for Pittsburgh, it was kind of interesting if you look at the pictures of me a week before versus the week, the day of the competition, my arms look so much smaller to me. So I'm still kind of figuring out what to do the week of with my carbs and stuff like that. But overall, I think I had brought my best package. The only issue was this was the biggest show. I had never been to a junior national kind of show before. It was huge. There were so many girls there. They all looked amazing. It was way more intimidating than any of the local shows. And it was kind of backstage with all those girls for, I don't know, like 2-3 hours, I think, before I went on stage. So it kind of gave you a lot of time to get yourself psyched out. And for me, I did. I got in my head too much, and I just got myself so nervous that before I walked out on stage, they were telling us, if you don't move quick enough, girls, we're just going to shoo you right off the stage and it's not going to look good. So it just got me that much more nervous for posing that I just went out there and tried to not fall on my face. I mean, I really did not exude any confidence. I really didn't show off my body for how hard I worked for it, and I think for how good I looked. So unfortunately, my posing was awful and quite embarrassing, and it sucked because I was so mad at myself afterwards that I didn't place well, and I knew it was because I didn't pose well, and it was tough competition anyways, but I was just mad because that's one thing I could control was my posing, and I did the worst at it out of all my shows. So that was a big learning experience because I did not get to pose again at all. That was it. The judges made their decision. So I have learned a lot from these 3 shows that I've done. I definitely want to be able to redeem myself at another national level show and hopefully be able to go pro. So in the springtime, I'm looking to compete locally again in order to requalify. Really gonna work on my posing again. I don't think it's that I'm bad at posing. It's just a confidence thing. And I am the type of person that I let things get to me and I get really nervous, even though I have no reason to be nervous. I've done everything I need to do. I just need to go out there and focus on me. Sometimes I struggle to do that, but after Pittsburgh, it still really bothered me how shitty I posed. Am I allowed to say shitty on YouTube? So I'm just ready to go back out there and not care about anybody else and really just focus on me. So I think spring 2013 will be it for me. I really want to get first at a local show. I've gotten 3rd through 5th place every show I've done, and I'm sick of it. So I'm really aiming for first place this time. So I'm hoping to go out there, not only qualify, but to get first place this time, and to hopefully be able to go to some national level shows again and kill it and hopefully get my pro card. So I've learned a lot. So I'm kind of in that improvement season time right now where I can be slightly lenient, but I am really focusing on changing my training, putting on some muscle, but also kind of maintain some leanness so I can see what I'm working with exactly right now. So that's pretty much 2012 in a nutshell for me with my contests. And I'm just going to keep working towards it. And this is why I'm doing these YouTube videos, to let you guys know how I'm doing. And hopefully it helps some of you out there who are also looking to compete. So ask me any questions you have and I'll answer them as best I can. I hope you guys keep checking back so you can see me get first place this spring.